Hello everyone, and welcome to another video from Inspire Cows, the channel dedicated to dairy health. My name is Mike Steele and I'm the dairy coach from Inspire Cattle Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about newborn calf care. So now our calf has been born and we want to make the maximum value from the very first hours and few days of the calf's life. So this video will be talking about colostrum care and care of the navel and how to prevent some of those early diseases that we get in the beginning of the calf's life. The very first thing and most important is colostrum. So this is the first milk that the cow produces. It contains higher fat, it contains more protein, it contains essential antibodies that protect the calf's immunity and can be passed on for the calf to protect it for the first 3 to 6 weeks of life. It also contains maternal immune cells, and these can provide local protection towards the gut from attack from pathogens from the gut, and these cells are just as important as the antibodies, and at the moment science is only just beginning to understand the potential of what those cells can bring. Also in the gut, we're looking to populate the gut with the bacteria that will stay with it for life, and these bacteria are helpful and they stay as a population and they protect the gut from attack from pathogens and nasty bacteria, but they also provide more nutrition for the calf. And this is established in the first few weeks of life and stays with the animal all the way through its life. One of the first things to remember about colostrum is 3 Q's. This is quality, quantity and quickly. So quality of colostrum is determined by the health of the dry cow. So in late pregnancy the cow needs to be on a good nutritional plane. It also needs to be producing the antibodies that will protect the calf in its early few weeks of life. And it's a good idea to keep the dry cow and her immune system very healthy too. So provide the vaccinations, follow the labels, and ensure that the cows are vaccinated for things like rotavirus, coronavirus, and BVD. And if these things are provided, then that will protect the calf in the first few weeks of life. So that's quality. Now, quantity. How much should a calf receive? And the answer is it should receive at least 10% of its body weight in the first 2 feeds at least. And the feeds should be 3 times in that first day. And we should get some into it, at least 2.5 to 3 litres, depending on the size of the calf, in the first feed, which should happen in the first 6 hours of life for maximum absorbance of those antibodies. 6 to 12, it should receive another equivalent litre feed, and then by 24, another equivalent feed. So that's the first 24 hours. After 24 hours, then what happens to the gut is that it starts to shut off the absorbance of those maternal antibodies. So we need to get that colostrum in as soon as possible. However, that doesn't mean to say that the antibodies won't provide local protection in the gut rather than be absorbed into the blood system. And so it's a good idea to provide colostrum for the calf for the first 4 days of life to protect the gut itself. Now, how do we get the colostrum into the calf? We could let it just suckle the mother, and this is a possibility, as long as you monitor to make sure that the calf is swallowing correctly and able to swallow that milk and the mother is producing the milk. One way to ensure this is to milk her yourself into a bag and then tube that first milk down into the calf. Then you know that it's definitely had that first feed at the right time in the right amount. It's not going to affect how the calf might suckle in the future, but it's definitely worth doing. So I'm now going to show you a little clip on how to do this. You'll see that there's a bag and a tube and a calf. So in order to get the tube down to the calf, measure the tube against the calf's chest and make sure that the end of that tube reaches down to around halfway along the calf's chest. This way you can put a little marker at the mouth, at the entrance, and then you know that you'll have the tube down the right tube. That is the food tube, not the air tube, because we don't want to drown the calf. So watch this little video and it'll show you how to do it. So many sites actually show you how to do colostrum and say that colostrum is a really good thing to provide, but not many actually tell you what the actual value is back. Now, we've already said that a calf that reaches its potential by pre-weaning and can grow 0.75 kilos a day in that first 10 to 12 weeks, and we hit that target, then we're more likely to reach service weights by 15 months and then calving at 24 months. And if we do this, then there's a potential to capture up to 600 to 800 kilos more milk in the first lactation. And that's driving marginal milk, which is double profit. So it's so important to do this. So some research was done to show that increasing passive transfer of immunity can increase average daily gains in calf by 10% in the first 2 weeks. That's 0.13 kilos per day. So if you are struggling to reach those growth rates and you're only at 0.6 or 0.65, it's worth looking at colostrum management and seeing how we can protect that and grow to reach our targets. So the other thing to ensure with your newborn calf is to make sure that the navel is not going to get infected. So this is the remnant of the umbilical cord. What we need to do is dip it in a disinfectant like iodine, so that will help to kill the bacteria, but we also need to dry it up. So if the iodine is in a spirit, then this helps to evaporate the water from it early on and dry it up as quickly as possible and prevent more pathogens going up into the navel. So the navel and the umbilical cord feed the fetus inside the cow before she's born. And this can go 3 ways. So the blood that goes through the umbilical cord goes generally to the liver, it goes to the gut, and it goes to the bladder of the animal. So hence, if we get navel infections, this is where we tend to see the infections go to. So you can get liver abscesses in the gut, then it could spread around the rest of the calf and create blood infections that tend to go to joints, and you get swollen joints in calves and very lame calves. You can get spinal abscesses, and you can also get very bad bladder infections. Other early diseases that happen in the first 2 to 3 days are gut diarrhea problems. And this is why it's important to feed that colostrum very quickly in the first 24 hours, but also continue over the next 3 to 4 days. Because if we get local protection, then it's starting to protect against the E. coli and salmonella that will attack that gut in the first 2 to 3 days, and a little parasite called cryptosporidium that can also get into the gut of the animal and cause diarrhea. So all of those are prevented by ensuring good colostrum care in the first place. So in summary, we've produced some really good quality colostrum, we've got it into the animal at the right time, and we've ensured that the navel has the least chance of getting infected. It is possible to test to see how well your colostrum management is going by asking your vet. And your vet can take blood from the calves and spin this down and put a little bit of the protein from the blood and test it for protein levels. And this is a crude way of testing to see if the antibodies have transferred correctly. There is another test the vet can send away, and they can do a zinc sulfate test, and this can tell you the levels of antibodies that have transferred into the calf properly. And if you test for this on a regular basis, you can see how well your colostrum management's going and if you need to adjust it slightly. If you don't monitor, you can't manage. So it's really useful to talk to your vet about this. Thank you very much for listening. I've been Mike Steele, and this is Inspire Cows, the channel dedicated to dairy health. Remember to subscribe, click the bell notification so that you get notified in any future videos, and please provide some comments below and tell us what you think about this.